Okay, so hi everybody. So today we are going to be doing the flowers. We did do a poll on the Facebook page, but I wasn't sure if I was kind of thinking that maybe at a later time we can do a whole tutorial where I will bead the strawberry earrings for everybody in a brick stitch style, and that will be shared on our Facebook page, and everybody can just go there and watch the tutorial. And hopefully that might help a little bit more. And if anybody has any questions about that one, you can let us know. But today we're going to be doing these little flowers. So we thought that we might do a flat style, well, a freestyle flat stitch. So in this one here, I have a little center there. We're not going to do a center there today. We're going to do a whole bead, all beads around there. So what I'm going to ask for you to do is, if everybody has maybe a flower drawn out or something on a piece of paper, you can even draw it on your Pellon if you'd like. But if you can draw out a little flower, that would be great. And if everybody could just let me know when you have your flower done and you're ready. So I have my flower. I just cut out a piece of Pellon that I'm going to put it on. And from there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my regular little needle that only has one thread on it. It's not double threaded. And what I'm going to do, just so my stuff doesn't move around while I'm working, is I am going to tack it down on a couple spots. So I'm just going to tack it down right here. As you can see, I just did kind of a thick one, so it doesn't really matter because I'm just trying to hold it down for now. With a lot of beaders, when you're doing medallions and stuff like this, this is usually how they would do it, is they would find a printout or something and they would just tack down the paper onto their felt, and then they would bead over top of it. You can even tack down on the flower where you're going to be beading on top. It doesn't really matter where you're tacking it down. You just don't want it to move while you're beading over top of it. So I'm just going to leave that like that. I'm going to tie it off in the back, and I'm going to cut off my thread so that I don't have a big long piece of thread hanging off. So see, I just tied it off there. And I'm just going to cut this off now. And then my paper is attached to my Pellon, so I don't have to worry about it moving around at all as I'm beading and working with it. I'll keep this thread, and I'm going to keep this thread. I just cut a piece off of it to tack it down. I'm going to keep it for when I'm tacking down my beads. Is there any questions? Is everybody following? Is anybody still on their flower? Does everybody have a flower?
No, I'm still trying to draw.
Okay. Awesome.
I don't have a printer, so I can't print anything, and we're drawing pretty crooked flowers here.
I would usually just use if you have lined paper, that may help as well too. And when you're, say if you're drawing out your piece, so on here, I'll say that if I was to draw my piece, I'd probably draw the middle circle first. And then I would probably draw little lines just to make sure that I know where my petals are going to be. So how I drew those little lines. Oh, wait, I went like this and I drew a few little lines.
Nice.
I would know where my petals were going to go because I would go like this and that they were going to fit.
Oh, okay.
like
I
that.
also find it helpful to
Okay.
find like something circular at home and just like trace it for the inner circle, just so it's
Yeah,
like a
like-
nice.
Like even a dime or something like that. If you have a dime, maybe use a dime and go around the circle.
Another
And then,
trick that I like is I will find like I'll put in 5-petal flower on Google search. I'll find like a clip art or image. I'll do a screenshot on my phone and they trace it right on my phone on a piece of paper.
yeah, that is what I was saying earlier too. Sometimes I'll go on Google and I'll just have it on my laptop and I'll put my piece of paper right over my laptop and I'll trace it out.
Right. That's a good idea.
As well, if you have it on like a piece of paper like this too, sometimes it just helps to put it up against the window with another paper in front of it. The sun will help.
Smart.
Done that before.
Nice.
I remember wondering at home, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And then my daughter's like, use the window. She was the one that gave me that idea. Never even thought of it.
Steph, I like your fancy background today.
Thank you.
Live from our studio.
Yeah.
And this is actually the first thing that is being recorded in our studio.
Wow.
Nice.
The studio that was created for a talk show that never happened yet.
One day we'll get there.
Just so
One
everybody
can
knows,
hope.
we have a TikTok now. So everybody can go follow our office on TikTok. Whoever has a TikTok. Oh, that's nice. Cool.
Nice.
So showing
We just started the TikTok today.
this flower, Jen. So this is a flower that I made like a while back. Like,
Oh yeah, that looks so nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to see mine in progress? One second. I'm just pulling it out. That looks so good. Yours is so more detailed. Mine's like the basic baby version, but it's getting there.
nice. Those are nice colors.
Yeah, it's kind of like a soft mauve. So yeah, I
Mhm.
started this, and this is a drawing underneath. This is just tracing paper I had laying around, and I just kind of drew. I found something like small and circle, and I traced this, and then I was like really careful to make sure that like any way you like put it, that it looks pretty even. So that took me a long time, but yeah, I tried to count beads, and some of it's a little bit off, but not too bad.
We were sharing just earlier before you came on that graph paper would be good.
Yeah, I
So
should get that too.
that would help with like knowing the sizes and making sure all the petals are on the same size and whatnot.
Totally.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to start just a little bit just to show. So with mine, I'm going to mark the middle, the little spot right in the middle, because that's where I want my bead to sit. So when I put my needle in the very first time, I'm going to put it like kind of beside that little dot, because I want my bead to sit on top of that dot. So we're going to start with one bead for the middle. And I chose, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to use, I was thinking gold or copper beads. I'm not sure. I think the difference between the colors.
Such pretty colors. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I might go with the copper.
Oh, I
I
love
think-
copper.
I've only used them once before, so I think I will go with my copper beads.
Nice.
I usually use silver or gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack this one bead down right on that little dot that I put there. So as you can see, I kind of went in on one side of the dot that I made, and then I'm going to go in on the other side of the dot that I made. That way my bead sits right on top of the dot. And usually if you add one seed bead, it's usually about maybe about five beads to go make a circle all the way around it. So after that bead is sitting there in the middle, I'm going to kind of come up just beside it. So as you can see, I'm coming up a little bit beside the bead so that I can add a little bit of a row to go around that bead. So I'll see 5 beads. Could be 5 or 6. It all depends on the size and what beads you're using. As seed beads, they're not all the same size. It could differ on the numbers that I use compared to what you use. If we're using skinny or fat beads. So I could see I could probably add 1 more, 2, maybe 2. If I pick 2 skinnier beads, might be able to add 2 more. Nope, 1 more. So I have 7 beads. 7 beads going around this bead. So here's my 7 beads that I have on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time. Remember, we kind of had to find a spot where it was comfortable to hold it like this. And I'm going to tack down that very first bead the way we did the last time. It's just like as if you're tacking your beads down around a gem, but there's no gem there. And like I said, our bead work will always kind of, it may look a little, it might not look perfect at first. Oh, see, I made a mistake. Sorry. Sometimes depending on how good you're, like, see, I'm backing up my work with my double thread. I just poked the back of the needle through just to pull it back through. I made a mistake. So I dropped this thread. I'm not using that. This double thread is the one that's going to hold my beads. My other thread. This is where it comes into play again. And this is the one that I will use to tack down my beads. So I'm just going to tack down that very first one again, like we did before. I always tack down the first bead and the last bead by itself. So maybe on this part might be a good time to tack down every single bead because it's so close to the middle. You don't want them to pop up. When you go onto your second row and your third row, you don't want the other beads to start popping up. So I'm going to suggest that on this very second row, you're going to want to tack down every single bead. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding those beads like they're and trying to make them go around in a circle like that.
Steph, you said you want to tack down every second bead or every bead for that
Every
row?
single bead.
Oh, okay, for the small row.
Yeah, for the
Okay.
second row, I want you to tack down every single bead as you're going around.
Okay, thanks so much.
And this is how it will look.
The flowers that you're making today too remind me of I went to this. Have you ever heard of the Broken Head Wetland Interpretive Trail? It's near it's just past when you go past Waivers. It's about like 10 minutes past there. It's in Broken Head and it's just off the highway, but it's a really beautiful trail and they have oh, awesome, Savannah, that's great. Yeah, it's so beautiful there. So they have like signs throughout the whole thing, but all the signs are in Anishinaabe. And they have like, it's all protected. So there's like almost like a boardwalk that takes you through the forest. It's really cool. But then on the side, there's one spot and it had a sign for flowers that said Wabunis. And yeah, that's kind of like what we're doing today. So I thought that was cute. So if you ever have a chance to get down there, it's really beautiful. Get some good flower inspiration, especially in the spring. Go in the spring.
So as I said last time, I have these 2 beads sitting here. I am going to go through these beads again. Remember how I said last time you want to go through the whole row again, just to make sure it's sitting nice. So I'm going to go through those first 2 beads that I had tacked down originally. And I'm going to pull my thread through and see my beads are going to sit there nice and make a circle. And I'll just tack down those last 2. I don't know why, but for me, when I'm beading, I love to hear the sound of my thread going through my pellon. It's like a sound you can hear.
It's like ASMR. I always watch those cutting sand videos and Joel gets really annoyed.
So yeah, so there's the very first little bead in our first row.
Nice, looks really good.
So I can tell mine is already sitting off to the side, but that's okay. Is there any questions? So this is my double thread, the one that I was using to hold my beads. I'm just gonna put it through again, and I'm gonna take my needle to the back of my beadwork. And then again, I'm going to use that same thread, and I'm gonna come up through the front to add another row. And beside those beads. I just love when it goes quiet because, you know, people are just busy and concentrating. Okay, I got 16 beads on there. That'll probably be good. There's one really ugly bead in there and I don't like it. Sometimes if I have like a whole row of beads and I don't like something or whatever, or if beads are too tight, I will take my needle nose clippers and I will crack the bead. I don't want that bead on there, so it's gone. And that's what the needle nose pliers do help for cracking beads if your beadwork is too tight and you already have a whole row. So this is the third, well, I guess it would be the second row. So again, I'm going to use this is my needle that's not doubled. And this is the one holding my beads. And again, I'm going to come up from the back. And tack down the very first one. And then after, when I get onto this row, this is where I will probably start tacking down 2 at a time. I'll do the 1 bead first. Then after that, I'll do 2 at a time. So coming up.
I'm still on my first row. Am I tacking down the first one with the double thread?
I know that's where your other thread will come into hand. You'll use the single thread to tack down. And the double thread is only to hold your beads. It's only to hold your beads on here. And then the other thread will be your tacking.
Oh, okay. I used the single one to put the center bead in. Was that what I was supposed to do?
That's totally fine. Yeah, that's fine. And then you could just use your one with the double thread to come up and then start the very first row. And
Okay.
then you can use that other one that you used for the first bead just to start tacking.
Okay, and I'm tacking the first one and then every second one, or?
On the very first row. So on that very first row after the very first bead, tack down every single bead.
Okay.
Just that way on the next row that's coming up, this one won't push any of these beads up.
Okay.
You don't want them to bump up after when you're kind of like halfway done your work kind of thing.
Yeah.
because I've had that happen to me a few times where I was almost done and I noticed my inside row started to bump up.
Shoot. Okay. Thanks.
Just want to pop in and say Savannah had a suggestion. If you don't have a needle nose plier, she has a nail clipper that she uses to crack the bead.
Good idea.
The Anishinaabe Kwe are so resourceful.
We get things done.
Sorry guys, I
I'm
left.
just trying to look at my thing as I could see it on the computer.
It's probably kind of confusing, hey?
And when it came to Chris puts it on me and I'm all like squinting. But I can't bead with my glasses, and I need my glasses to look at the computer, but I can't bead with my glasses because it's too close. As I said before, I have the 3 beads here still laying there. I'm going to go through the first couple beads that I added on that row again, just to make sure I make a nice little circle. And when I pull that in, my beads will sit nice. There we go. And I just got to tack down those last 3 beads.
I have my microphone on mute because my kids are so wild that it would be so distracting.
That's fair.
And
Sorry, I
it
know
sounds
this
like
is-
there's a little bit of lag too.
Yeah. I know this is off topic, but there's this, I'm not sure, there's a chef that came from Thompson that makes this like really amazing pizza. And
Ooh,
they're
I
making
heard
it-
about that.
And so we got it for dinner tonight and it looks really good. I already took a bite of it, but look at it. Look how delicious it looks.
Nice.
Show
Pretty
again,
good.
again, spotlight,
Again.
spotlight.
Yeah.
Show it again.
I already ate some of it.
You have to
Is it-
pre-order that.
Yummy.
It's so good. Definitely, if you can. They're only there Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's we order it for pickup, but it's very good. Highly recommend it.
Yes, we get that too. Thompson style pizza. It is very filling.
So good. Wow.
I wanted to try Vern's. I've heard a lot of people talk about Vern's pizza.
Ooh, I haven't heard of them.
It's like almost like a deep dish pizza, and the meat inside is like, the pizza is like an inch thick, and then you could just imagine all the meat and whatnot that's inside it.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, I wonder how it tastes, because there is a such thing as too much pepperoni and too much meat and cheese on a pizza.
Savannah, what's your rating on Burns? It says that you know them. Is it a thumbs up? Five out of 5, she says.
Nice. I guess I should try Vern's.
We're waiting for Thompson Style to open their location on Arlington because it'll be pretty close to us.
Nice. That's exciting.
Where is that Thompson style pizza?
Right now it's at Riverview Community Club. It's like on what's that street called? Not Mabel. Eccles. Eccles in South Osborne, which is like right by Riverview Hospital. It's running out of there for now, I guess, until they find a kitchen. So it sounds like they have a spot opening up, so that's good.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's Redwood. Actually, it's close to Bessie's.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was even surprised at the two men who are opening up a hair salon for cutting hair for Indigenous people. There's two Indigenous men that are opening up a hair salon in Selkirk, Manitoba. And it was because of COVID, right? Like he had lost his job due to COVID, I think, something like that. And him and his friend just did a lot of hair cutting. They were doing hairstyles for people. I guess he was a stylist for a little while, and now he's just opening up his own shop, him and a family member.
Lindy had said that one of those men cuts her oldest son's hair, Andrew's.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Like all these people coming out with their being entrepreneurs now because they don't have any other choice but to make themselves some work.
Well, I'll show you what we have for door prize tomorrow for our paint night. Sorry, I'm getting up. One of the women I know makes bath salts. This is sweetgrass oil. And then there's a salve. She's got lip balm. This is a smokeless smudge. And there's a cedar bath bomb. So,
Nice.
yeah, entrepreneur.
Does anybody have any questions? Are you kind of getting it on a roll?
I see Karen is nodding. Sheila, did that work out for you with the stitching down? Oh, and Karen's nodding. I'm really loving that copper. Oh, go ahead, Sheila.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time keeping it tacked down. They want to go flat, and you know where you see the seam, the opening. They're kind of loose and flopping around.
If you feel that they're loose and flopping around, I would just go around and tack them all if you feel that would help. That's why I was asking about tacking them down. If you feel that you need to tack them down more or down every single bead in the middle, that's totally fine. It is a little bit more work. It's totally up to you.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'm doing that. I don't know.
Did you want to come on camera with your
No,
on?
Got the first bead. I only got the
Okay.
first bead, and then I tried to do the second one, and it just looks really, really loose.
I think practice too as well. Also, the more you go along, I always tell everybody, the more you go along into the rows and whatnot, it'll bring everything together. So like, it'll make it tighter.
Yeah.
And also too, what will help, how I said, is when you come to the end of your row, use that double thread to go all the way around them again. And then you could pull it just a little bit tighter, and then they might just kind of like just go into their spot where they're supposed to sit. That might help as well.
Okay.
I really love that copper.
I think I've only made one pair of them, and I think I gifted them to Cora.
So while there is a little bit of a lull, I can mention that you can find the First Nations Family Advocate Office on various social media platforms. We're on Twitter as FNFAOMB. We are on Facebook as First Nations Family Advocate. We are on Instagram as FNFAO. And as of today, we are on TikTok as FNFAO. And you can also find us on YouTube, and you can see all of the videos, all of the previous Beading is Medicine videos. We have a playlist set up for that. And we also have a playlist set up for all of the previous Food is Medicine videos. And you can see all those. If you just search for First Nations Family Advocate Office, you can like, share, subscribe to the channel, and you'll be updated as soon as new content is uploaded.
Jen didn't get to see all your things there, Karen.
All my goodies. So
That's so nice.
I bought it at Manitowoc. I'm
gorgeous.
not sure where it was made,
Yeah.
but I accidentally peeled a little bit of the back, and you can kind of see.
Oh,
Yeah,
kinda
it was
neat.
the Pellon, and you can see her amazing stitches, or his,
yeah.
and these jewels.
Cool.
Like looks like a tree. Oh, and
Yeah.
the strap.
Oh, nice. It's
is-
even beaded too.
Yeah, the strap
Wow.
is amazing. And I think I paid like $30 for this.
Wow.
Yeah, what a
Nice.
deal.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
And then I have some they're barrettes.
Yeah. Wow. I love when they have those like gradients. Those are so pretty.
Yeah, the fire colors.
Mhm.
And then I was showing them some of my dentalium. So different from what we're doing today, but still
Yeah.
nice.
I was thinking it would be a really easy project, maybe a good one for the youth to join us too, but we could make because Cora gave everybody like those little mask holders. If we could make those one day.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Everybody where I go, they're like, "Where'd you get that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think my boss made it.
Ooh, those are real lovely.
This lady from Shoal Lake, I think.
Mm,
She's a Kekegabak. I butchered her poor name, but she custom made these for me.
nice. Those are beautiful.
I love them.
Gorgeous.
And then Jane Middleton gave me this.
Woo,
It's
sheesh.
raised beadwork.
Beautiful. I love that too. That style's so cool when it kind of like goes up from the.
Those earrings I showed Jen some earrings today too, and I do some raised beadwork, and I tried to do the I was working with sequins, and then I don't know why I had like that, how I said I had a beater's block. Some people get a beater's block, and it's like really takes a lot to think of a good idea.
Yeah.
So the same lady that made the turtle and the eagle
I did
made
too.
oh
Has the
wow.
raised
Holy
beadwork.
smokes. Yeah, I
Oh,
love that. Such
gosh.
cute colors.
But that might be something we could try at a later date.
Would that be a pop socket?
I made them a pair.
Oh,
So
cool.
they're gonna be some big earrings.
Oh, Savannah's going to show us something for her son.
Nice.
Oh,
those are so cute. Love
so
those.
cute.
Those are nice.
Nicely
So
done.
beautiful.
Well done. Isn't it hard to bead leather? I find it so hard. It's so stiff.
I find it's harder to bead leather and for it to sit nicely on the leather too.
Good job.
It was definitely hard.
Mm-hmm.
My poor thumbs were like peeling.
Oh,
It's like when you're working with leather and you're using a beading needle, you kind of have to wiggle the needle through and just like hope it doesn't break. Did you go through a lot of needles making those?
Yes, and I was using the actual, those little beads.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
The smaller ones from what we're using now, those, yes, definitely. I went through 3 needles.
Yeah. I can just imagine how many needles you'd have to go through working with leather.
I bought some leather needles, but my beads are too small for them, so I have to get more needles.
I had lots in my desk here at work.
That's why I like using the short needle, because you have long style and short style, right? But when I do my leather work, I use the short style, and I could get through a project with like 2 needles. So it really helps to have those short ones.
Yeah, because the longer ones, I guess, are a little bit more flimsy, eh?
Yeah, I think those are more for like the Pellin and loom work, stuff like that.
So do any of you ladies have plans for Mother's Day? I know there's a lot of restrictions right now, but
We're doing a combination birthday party, Mother's Day Saturday, and we're having Boston pizza.
I love Boston pizza. I miss going there.
Me too. They have such good pizza.
That Great White North, you can't get it anywhere else.
Great. I was like, I first did like this, filled this petal in, but I did it like where I stitched down every bead, but you can kind of see it's like a little bit like bumpy and lumpy and like not very straight.
Oh yeah.
But like I did the second one with the technique you taught us with like the 2 needle stitch.
Yeah.
And look how much straighter it is.
And it looks, I don't know, it looks a little neater.
It looks way neater, hey? So I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I should take this one out now. I'll wait till the end though, see if it's not that noticeable, but if it is, then I'll take it out.
Yeah, for me, I find people, there's like, everybody's different, eh? They will, like, I just noticed Jen's work there, how she had said that she had filled that petal, and everybody's different. See how she likes lines, so she knows it's straight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I did the other one. Oh, that's okay. I did another one for my cuckoo, and I did it instead of doing straight lines. I like followed the shape of the petal, so it was like round.
Yeah,
There.
because on this one, that's what I did, is I
Yeah.
followed the shape of the petal. And I noticed a lot of people, do the lines though.
Yeah, I liked it. Really suited the other one to do it like follow it, because then it was
Mhm.
like really round and cute. And then because these petals are kind of sharper, like if they're not round at the edges, I figured it might be better to do it straight.
So who was that was saying they're having trouble tacking their stuff down?
It was Sheila.
Sheila? Okay, so this is what I do when I come to the end of my row. At the end of my row, I have a couple beads just sitting there, right? And I still have to tack those down. But what I'll do is I'll take my needle and I'll go in the very first couple beads that I added on this row, so that I can go like this and I can pull those beads into place where they're supposed to sit. And then if you feel that your beadwork is not sitting right, you can go all the way around again, just to pull it in a little bit tighter. And that might help.
All right, I managed to fix it anyways. And for the second row, are we tacking down every bead again, or is it every second bead?
No, when we do a row, what I was sharing was that I usually tack down the very first bead by itself, and then after that I'll do every second bead.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna show you ladies my bead station.
Let's see.
It's something that I came up with when my boys were really small. They're 12 and they're 4 or 14 now. But when they were small, I think I started beading when my baby was 2, so 10 years ago. And I was always like having to get up and worried about where like their little fingers in my beads at the table. And then I couldn't afford those nice bead because people sell them on like the native sites beading stations with wood and stuff. So what I use is this. Can you guys see it? I use a cookie sheet.
Oh, nice.
And then what I do is I just stick it up on top of my shelf and it's out of my kids' way. The cat, you know, if you have cats.
You can't speak it out of sight, out of mind.
Yes, they don't touch it, and it's light. It's a fairly good sized cookie sheet, and it was an old cookie sheet, so it was something I had, right? So that's why I always say Anishinaabe Kwe are always so resourceful. So I got one of these little beading what are they, mats? I think it was like $2 at a bead store somewhere. And I find it really helps with the, so that it doesn't move around like beads, it kind of stays still. But that's a way for you moms who have a lot of children and just want to put your project out of the way of the children, or if you bead at the table or the living room like I do. Just an idea.
Awesome. That's a great tip.
Especially for the ones with the little ones. I remember I used to have them all over my table. It'd take up my whole table.
Exactly. Kind of helps us keep organized too, and quick. It's quick fix.
I'm just going all the way around that row that I just added. Just because my beads look like they were sitting a little crooked. So there's my rows. I think maybe 1 or 2 more. I really like the way that copper looks now. The more rows I add.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I really want to do copper on the outside for this flower.
I bought these ones at the Winnipeg Trading Post.
Oh, nice. It's a good size too. And it's
$2.
that cheap? No way.
$2.75 for these copper beads.
What size are that?
They're just regular size seed beads. I believe size 11.
Okay.
I believe size 11, yeah.
Like a small copper one, but I think they're delicas. Or maybe they're just small seed beads. Maybe they're 11, but oh my god, they're like $5 or $8.
They have copper delicas as well.
Nice.
I checked those out too. Okay, so I'll start another row. That way I can kind of get to my my petals. I had to put my glasses on to see what time it is on there. Okay, 26. Just so I could see my laptop.
Yeah, I want to try it that way with like the way that you did it. That looks a lot easier than the way that I did it. Now that I feel better about the 2 needle stitch, I was doing 1 needle because the 2 needle one, I just was making knots after knots.
And also I like that the single thread helps because you can always back it up if you make a mistake. I always tell people, oh, this is for learning, but I still do it. I still just do the 1 thread sometimes, depending on what I'm making. If I'm making something that might just be earrings, then I'll just do the 1 thread. But if it's something that somebody's going to wear around their neck and I think they might wear it often, I'll double both of my threads. And I usually add my whole row. So you don't always have to add your whole row and then start tacking them down. Sometimes if it's easier for you just to add like 5 or 6 beads at a time and start tacking, then that's totally do that if that helps.
I saw a tip from this girl on Instagram. I think her Instagram handle is like Two Wolf Teresa. She's really good. She makes really, really amazing stuff. But she said that for when she has her like pell on and she's like working on something, she like cuts the corners off so it doesn't like snag her thread all the time. And I thought that was a good idea because it's like super annoying to get it caught in the corner.
I do that once in a while too if my thread keeps getting snagged.
Yeah.
Like how this goes like that on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to round all of my edges because I don't know if it's my bead style, like the style of like how I hold my needles, because mine gets snagged all the time and it drives me nuts.
Like, I thought this was supposed to teach me patience. It's just angry.
Another form of snagging.
That's the only snagging we're going to be doing in during COVID times.
I was laughing, by the way.
We were saying there, Lana, the past few weeks when we were coming in beading, that when we leave our beading circle, that I just felt happy and felt in such a good mood just to kind of sit with people and talk and laugh.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
This calmed me down. I was downtown stuck in that awful traffic on Donald and I was like ready to lose my mind because this lady, like I got stuck right between like on Graham, like almost between 2 buses. And so I had to back up. And then this like pedestrian person just started like slamming on my car. And I was like, thanks, I appreciate that. That's really great. It's not my fault I got stuck in an intersection.
Oh my goodness, what a way to end the day. Pedestrian road rage.
Yeah, I was like finishing up something at the office and then as I was driving I got a message asking for like more info on it and I was like, uh-oh, I'm driving. So I was in a rush to get home and everything was getting in my way.
Mm-hmm. So while you're busy doing your beadwork, I'll share those beading teachings again, that beadwork is more than something beautiful to wear. It tells a story and it can provide our information on our lineage. I had told a story, one of the first classes, about my friend who had a beaded vest. And in that beadwork, there was teachings about the medicine that he carried. And there was one there that someone had asked him about. And at that time, he didn't know it. But later, as he got older, he did learn that medicine that was represented on that beaded vest. It can show our gifts. It can show our connection. Sea turtle is my husband's clan. There can be family patterns that we use. There's many ways, many techniques, and I'm really grateful for Steph teaching us how to do this and helping make it easier. And beadwork also used to be a symbol of security in the camp, because if they had time during the winter to do beadwork, it showed that they had stocked up on all of their food supplies and all of the resources that they needed for that long winter. And then they had time to do crafts, because if they weren't prepared and ready, they would be foraging through the winter to survive. So beadwork became a symbol of abundance and comfort. And a lot of our beads used to come from a long ways away down that salt line. They would come from the sea, especially turquoise and shells. Some of those embellishments that come from the southern parts of North America, of Turtle Island. Those cowrie shells that we use, they come from a long ways away, and they would be obtained by trade. So beadwork is wonderful. It's sacred, and you've seen all the different things that can be made out of it, wearables and medallions, earrings, vests, you name it. You can bead it. I know Lana has sunglasses that have beadwork on the arms, which are really stunning. So you can do anything with that.
It was Steph that has the beaded sunglasses. But yeah, to add on to your teachings, thank you for that, Karen. And I'm so glad you brought up that trade. You know, when I started selling my beadwork is throughout Turtle Island. I'm really proud of that. And it feels nice to know that, like, it crossed the pond. It's all over the world. My beadwork is all over the world. And when I first started selling, I would have other First Nation or Native American women asking me, where are you from? What part of Turtle Island? What tribe are you with? And I found for myself that I really did like collecting and having different styles of beadwork, like some of the ones that Karen had mentioned. And then it was shared with me that it's a part of our blood memory, that good trade between women, between tribes. And that's why, we're inclined as women to collect different types of beadwork from other people as a part of that blood memory, that it's almost like a outwardly showing, again, like Karen had mentioned, some of those things, but that we have good alliances, right, with certain specific tribes as to what their bead pattern would be, their colors. Even as Anishinaabe, we use specific colors or specific styles of flower, things like that. And that also showed everybody this is who we're in good standing with, things like that. And I thought, oh, that is so cool. I thought it was just, something that we're inclined to do, but when the grandmother said, no, it's a part of our blood memory that we want to make those alliances with one another. We collect those beautiful items, that craftsmanship. So anyways, thanks for sharing that, Karen.
Lana, that's wonderful. And I'm fortunate enough to have one of your beautiful pieces that you made. Yeah, I can grab it. It's right here.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Lana. That's so amazing. Ooh, gorgeous.
She made a cab from our t-shirt logo and then she beaded it. She said, keep it in the
Nice.
trailer, but I want to keep it at home.
I love it.
Special.
That's also an idea. You know, I made ornaments, Christmas tree ornaments with that same style, and my sisters just love them. So that's another little project when we were throwing out projects.
Hey, that's a great
Yeah.
idea. I would love to do that in the Christmas months or like November or leading up, and that's a really fun gift. It'd be nice if we could
A lot of people have been doing the Christmas balls because you can buy those little clear Christmas balls at Dollarama, and I've seen a lot of people beading those for their Christmas trees.
That's cool. Yeah, that would be really fun. And that'd be like a pretty affordable thing to try to acquire. I was saying that like leather would be fun to get a hold of, but that's pretty expensive. So
Even I remember, I think not last Christmas, the Christmas before, we were making stockings out of like tribal fabric and stuff like that. I made a couple for me and Mel, and I made a couple for my daughter and my husband.
that's cool. That's a good idea too. Stockings. I know I hope like down the road we can try to do even like skirts, and that would be a really fun one. I know that I think like obviously it's easier with a sewing machine, but I mean I think also learning how to hand stitch is always a good technique to learn and learn different styles of stitching and figure out those skills. Like it's the old days.
I'm not a good hand stitcher
I can only hand stitch, but I'm not great at it at all.
either. I seen this woman though, she does do hand stitching, and what she had done is like on her fingernail, she made a little mark, like just a little mark on her fingernail, so that when she was sewing and she would hold it like this every time she would go on her fingernail, and she would do like, that much from the edge of the whatever she was working on, and she would put her finger over just a little bit at a time, and she would stitch there. And when she was done, her stitching was nice and straight. I thought it was so neat. Like it was on a DIY thing, I believe, that I watched.
That's super smart.
So as you can see, I am done my middle. And it looks good.
Perfect.
So when I start my petals, what I usually do is I just go right where my petal starts. So the mark on the paper. Can you see my needle? Where is it? Okay, so there's my needle. And I'm just coming up where it shows on that pen. I mean, on the ink right beside.
Oh, I just have a quick question. When you went through your beads at the end there, did you just go through the outside row or did you go through all of them?
No, I just went through the outside row.
Okay,
I
perfect.
just went all the way around, and then I went down and then I pulled my needle back up to come to here to get it to there. So I have it almost like right up against these beads because I want it to sit tight there. I'm going to pull that through, and I'm still going to go along with my my copper beads because I want to fill the flower with something else, but I want my whole outline to be my copper beads. I think maybe I might use like a yellow and an orange in the middle or something. Might look really nice with the copper, like orange fading to a light yellow.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Or something like that. It's what I have in mind. I don't know how it's gonna look, but that's what I have in my mind right now.
That sounds really great.
So I'm just gonna pick up, I'm not gonna pick up a whole bunch. I'm only gonna pick up a few. And it's just the same thing. You just have to kind of hold your beads on the line, and that's about it. The same as we've been doing for the past 2 weeks, I believe. Well, we missed last week, but so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold it there And I'm going to tack down that very first bead that's closest to my circle. And tack it, just the first one, so that it sits there nice and tight. And then the same thing after that, I will do every second bead. And I'll just follow the line. I'll just try hold my beads on the line. And then as I'm coming up through there, I'm kind of hitting that line. So I'm like making sure that my needle's coming up right in the middle of that black line there. Mine is thick, so I want to try come up on the middle of the line, so I kind of hide the line. If you're using pen or pencil, yours might be a little thinner. You want to make sure too that you're kind of you don't want your line to be straight, like how this is kind of rounded. So you kind of want to hold it at like a little bit of a rounded edge there, so you're not doing a straight line.
Karen, yours looks great. It's got the white center. It looks really awesome. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like that last tip where you had to go all the way around.
Yeah.
That straightened out the beads. So that
Oh,
was a good
nice.
tip for sure. Yeah. So
Oh, I like your colors too.
thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to use up what I got here. So yeah, got lots. Were all the kits the same? I guess not, eh?
They were a little bit varied. Like they had lots of variety, which was great. But some
Yeah.
were different colors. But yeah, the general theme was about the same amount of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They're beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
I'll
Well, you can tell if somebody's like really enjoying the beading, that they're going to be out there buying more and
yeah.
Replenishing.
on some beads.
So I
Oh.
Ooh,
tried
I
to
don't
do a
have that
little bit.
color. Okay.
Yeah. This is my leather. When I was waiting for you guys to return, I started trying.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I was trying.
That's excellent. No, that's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
I like the little
And
white spot.
so when we first made our dangly earrings, I wore these yesterday. I was doing an MMIW, and I
Oh,
was it Garrison Setti, Chief Garrison Setti? I was telling him I was beading with Family Advocate Group.
that's great.
He commented on my earrings, and I said I made them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he knows what you guys are doing.
Oh, good. That's great. Thanks
Yeah,
for the good press.
No problem. Yeah, yeah.
Steph, you're so fast. It's so wonderful to watch.
I wanted to share this also. In 1970s, my dad was up north, I think in Cross Lake. But I always like to find out who made this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because
Oh.
the beadwork is there's not a seed that's missing. Yeah.
Wow.
And like I
that's
say,
incredible.
it's 50 years old already. So yeah,
That's so special.
yeah. My sister got
beautiful.
one too.
Nice. Oh, I
That's
should.
what I
was
do now. I go searching. I order from like the grannies, the cookums up north, because I
Yeah.
know that their beadwork is stellar. When I get my slippers, man, the quality that comes out of there,
So cool.
Mhm.
it's like nothing else, right? Like no
Yeah.
corners. It's just beautiful, beautiful lifelong beadwork, and you can tell, you can feel it, and I just feel so special when I wear kukum style or kukum beaded items.
Oh, I wanted to show you guys something too, actually. My uncle gave this to me when I was quite small. I was probably like 11 or 10, 12, but it's like fully beaded.
Wow,
wow.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like even the bottom's beaded.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like it was like one of the nicest gifts I've ever been given, and I just like treasure it. It's on my altar because I'm like, I can't use you. I remember I used it one day, and I was like, I can't. I'm so nervous something's gonna happen to it. But yeah, it's like fully beaded. I don't know who did it, but yeah, it's beautiful. I just love that style of flower. It's so cool. It's like,
So when I get about halfway, I find that I've added the rest of my row of what I have there, and I'm just I don't usually do this until I'm probably about halfway or more than halfway done. And I'm just gonna put my needle down here so that I can hold this row as to where I want my beads to sit, or I can tack them down. And when I go like this, it'll sit like that, and it'll make it a little bit easier for me to tack them down. And then I can hold it like that to tack. And mine looks a little bit crooked right now, but when I go and add my second row in there, I can make this outside look just a little bit better. I find it's always the first row. Sometimes you're questioning it, but then once you get down to the second row, then it just pulls everything together.
that's reassuring because I have some ugly first rows.
Yeah, it'll all come together.
Is
And
that,
like sometimes if I feel that like how I have this row here, if I feel like it might be bunched up too much, I might just let it loose a little bit, or I might just crack a bead off if I feel I need it.
do you find that when you make earrings, like the first one's like not as nice as the second one, or vice versa?
It used to be.
Yeah.
Now the way I am, if I make a pair of earrings, I make sure to take my time and I make sure to put great love and effort into it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really like uptight about symmetry. So I'm like, if the other one I make doesn't look the same, I'll be like, can't wear those.
And not only that, like with anything else, right? When you practice, when you put time in, you become better, right? You hone the craft a little bit better. And I look back at some of my projects, I was like, yay, but they were stitched with love, right?
Totally.
And then over time, when Steph was talking about how you'll find your style that you like or prefer, like you're symmetrical, you like those lines. What I do is I do 2 round of the petals and then I'll do the lines. I found that that's what I prefer.
Oh, okay.
So everybody has their own, like, I know others where it's all rounded.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, so slowly you'll find what you prefer, what works for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, and your beadwork will gradually over time, change as well with their style.
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like I'm at the baby stage, but I'm excited to like try some things out. There's so much good inspiration online, but I also want to be like respectful and not like use it as like inspiration, but not, like I want to like duplicate someone's work. I just want to like just some of the color combos people use. I'm like, I would have never thought of that combo. It's so beautiful. So yeah, I'm really inspired by that kind of stuff.
When I was getting close to the middle of my petals, like right here, I was doing every bead. So my last 3 beads and 3 beads on this side and this side, I tacked down all of them. I like to make sure that the whole middle is nice and tight. So there's a first row.
Looks really good.
And then when you just move on to the second row, you do the exact same thing. I'm still going to do the petal starting over here. Sometimes people might start their next petal like right here, right where the black starts, and just go again.
Right.
But I'm just going to do another whole petal. just because I like the copper beads. I think they're really looking really nice the more that I go along.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
looking-
I noticed that too. People sometimes like start like higher up when they have like a petal leaf, or sorry, a petal shape.
yeah,
I
somebody
like
might
when it's
like
all
around
together.
here to start the second petal, but I
Mhm.
want to do another whole petal, I think.
I find one of the challenging parts is threading the needle.
You sound like a robot. A
Mhm.
challenge? You said there was a challenge, something you find challenging?
Threading the needle, I believe
Threading
is
the
what she
needle.
said.
Threading the needle, yeah.
There's- And dealing with the lag,
Yeah.
get their connection.
Yeah. You know what? I find that like I did buy the nylon thread, like the one that was recommended to try to instead of the cotton thread, and I had a really hard time getting it into the needles I had. It was just like I got it once and then it came out and I was like, I give up. It was really tough. So
Because the
definitely
thread
with you
is
there.
thick and the little needle hole is so tiny. Is that the?
Yeah, it's one of those gold eye ones where it's like just so tiny. It's like a speck. You can't even see it.
It looks like we've lost the overhead camera. Aha.
Oh,
And we're at about 8 minutes to 7.
nice. Coming up on the end again.
I don't mind
Like-
going a little bit long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind.
And we can also pick up next week too, and we can finish this project. I think this one's kind of a fun one because I think like depending on what you're beading, like if you're just doing a single like flower, or maybe you're beading like some leaves beside it with some little vines or something like that, it can take its own shape. So you can go a few places with it. So yeah, I think it's a good project to kind of continue with. And then I thought freestyle was kind of a fun one just because you can kind of do whatever you want, but I think a flower is just an easy shape, even like hearts or something. We were going to suggest if you wanted to even do like a dress shape because of this week for May 5th for missing murdered Indigenous women and girls, like a dress shape, and just doing simple red. Steph makes really beautiful red dress earrings. They're with delicate beads, but they're just so gorgeous, and they're very detailed and really nice and uniform. Like they're made with those really good beads that are like very straight and uniform, so it's just really, really nice. But maybe we'll cover that again down the road. Hey, that'll be a nice one to once we get a little more advanced.
Which good, like how Lana had suggested about every year the things that come up, right? The missing and murdered, the orange shirts. She had suggested us doing maybe orange shirts and even poppies. Me and Lana do poppies.
Hey, that's a great idea. Poppies.
Also,
So many good projects.
Karen was talking about beaded sunglasses. So I do have beaded sunglasses that I beaded myself. I did the beadwork like just straight beading, sort of like a brick stitch style, and I just glued them onto the side of sunglasses that I own. And yeah, everywhere I go, everybody just loves those sunglasses. So that might be something that we can do.
Cool.
And I do believe when I do sunglasses, it is box stitch. So it is another form of beadwork. It's not
Oh, cool.
brick stitch or this flat stitch.
Mm.
There is only one sort of beading that I do not like. It takes a lot out of my hand, I find, is peyote.
Oh.
Peyote stitching for me has been one of the hardest stitches. I can do it. It's just that I just refuse not to do it because of after a while, like I have like it's sort of like carpal tunnel, but it's tennis elbow.
Oh yeah.
So it does kind of part into my hand hurting afterwards. So I usually don't do peyote.
Mm.
I knew
really-
you were gonna say that one, Steph,
Yeah.
because it's one that I'd stay away from as well.
Yeah.
I noticed
A
you
lot
said too that.
Red.
Oh, awesome. Awesome, Karen. Yeah, we'd love to have you back again. Have a great night. Yeah, I noticed you said too before, like instead of peyote stitch, you can also do that like wrapping technique,
Yeah. The
which I
wrapper
think is
technique,
easier.
which would be for like lanyards, things like that. That's what you would want to do.
For
It would make
sure.
it would make it a lot faster too, because peyote stitching, you are only doing one bead at a time.
Mm,
When if you do the wrap stitching, you can do like 20 to 30 beads at a time.
right.
But yeah, I think another technique would be box stitching, which would be really good. Lana was asking for those hair combs. So box stitching is what I did use when I did
Mm.
make those hair combs before.
Can you use any type of bead, or is it preferred to use delica?
I would use delicas for box stitching. I used my beaded sunglasses are used with seed beads.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I use seed beads to make my beaded sunglasses.
Sweet. Yeah, that'd be a really fun one. I bet you the youth would like that one.
Yeah,
They
and
can
and you
scoop
know
up their
what?
glasses.
My sunglasses that I have, I bought from Dollarama for $1.50.
Nice.
And then if you put beadwork on them, right, you could sell those for like $25.
Totally. Yeah. Actually, I bought some hoops from a girl, and I think they're like pretty cheap hoops, but like she did beautiful bead wrapping on them, and they're really nice.
Yeah. It takes the price from $1.50 all the way up to like $25
Yeah.
for those glasses.
That's nice. Yeah. Make some coin.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Lana was talking about how she had like beadwork all over Turtle Island. I just want to share this one time I sold earrings to an actress, and I was like, oh my God, she wants my earrings. So I sold a couple pairs of earrings, I think like 5 pairs of earrings to Roseanne Supernault.
Oh, nice.
Like she's a Indigenous actress.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, I remember her messaging me, can I buy some earrings? I was like, what? I was like, an actress is messaging me.
That's awesome. I love that she wanted to buy them too. I feel like not that like people reach out, but sometimes like people give like freebies to actresses, so they like wear them
Yeah.
and then they get publicity. But it's like it's nice when people want to buy and support you too.
Yeah, I thought that was totally awesome. I was so proud.
Nice. Yeah, it'd be cool if we do get to explore that like marketplace thing for like FNFAO, and then like
Yeah.
boost people's awesome creations, but like get the word out. I love that.
I heard Chris saying that we would sell our sweaters, but even if we didn't sell any of our stuff, we could maybe a proposal just to sell our clients' stuff. That way we're not making anything.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And then it's like the money can just go directly to them.
Yeah, because we're
Yeah.
not, if it's just us selling our clients stuff that artists that they're like artistic things they're making, then we're
Right.
not, our office isn't making any money off of it. We're just helping our clients.
Totally. And I know when we were open, we often had people like come by and stop by and sell stuff in our office, and they
Yeah.
bring their beautiful paintings and their beadwork. And I remember buying a few pairs of earrings from a woman, and they were lovely. They were nice hoops, and yeah,
Mhm.
that'd be really fun.
That will be the discussion,
Woohoo!
whether it's beading or if it's, paintings or anything else that has come through our door over the past several years.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens.
cool.
There's always that man that comes to our office and he goes to EUTC and he sells those. He makes little anukshuks out of stones,
Oh yeah,
and some of them are like maybe about a foot tall and stuff like that. They're cute.
that's cute.
So I have 2 down.
Excellent. Let's take a look. Gorgeous. That's perfect. They're
Ooh,
so symmetrical. I
I'm
love it.
really liking that copper. Wow.
Yeah. Ooh, I can't wait to see them filled in the inside. Woohoo!
I don't know what I did wrong, but I ended up being crooked here, or I don't know, it's gone in a spiral rather than evenly going around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I have like no end to the middle.
Oh, no.
It's uneven. And I drew my flower crooked, so maybe that's what it is. Can I
Yeah.
just show you,
okay.
what it looks like?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Oh, wait, I gotta put the video on, I guess that helps. Eh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's like more like a spiral.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
coming together though. That's
Yeah.
totally fine.
but how
Yeah.
do I end that? I want to end it now and try and start the petals and center it. I know I drew crooked.
That's okay. I would say if you want to too, you could even like take it to the sort of corner a little bit, like just wrap what almost to the other side and
Mhm.
then just stop it there because the last bead can kind of fit in that little spot there. And then yeah, and then you can start your petals from there.
I would
Okay,
suggest maybe how you see where you ended there. I would
Yeah.
do maybe another half a row just to make
Right.
it look like a nice full circle. And
Yeah,
I
'cause it looks-
could see where you can come out, where you're coming out that bead there. If you added like maybe 8 or 9 more beads and go in that one that's popping out there, it might
Okay.
kind of make it more circular.
okay. Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Where can I fit an extra bead to kind of end it?
Yeah. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
All right.
Just add a couple extra beads and then just go in that one that's kind of popping out there, and it might make it a little more round.
Perfect.
Sounds good. I'll do that.
Awesome. Great work.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I think it's 7 o'clock, and I'm sure if you haven't eaten yet, you're probably starving. I was lucky to get some pizza. But if you haven't had dinner yet, well, I hope you have a lovely meal for the rest of your night and a good, relaxing evening. And thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We have our Facebook page, Instagram, FNFAO, and we also have Twitter. Chris can share that as well. And then, feel free to, we encourage further registration, but we're going to look into getting more kits down the road. And yeah, we're just really happy that anybody joins us, and we really enjoy learning together, and we look forward to finishing the rest of this project with you. So have a great night, and thanks for joining us at Beading is Medicine.